I hate it when you see deep state supporting amateurs parroting the deep state lines verbatim on Iran. But they think they're working for populism, they think they're working for the president, and Americanism and Trump's agenda. Americanism, not globalism. How is going to war with Iran not globalism? It's a derailment of Trump's agenda. And these deep state neocons have been trying to derail the agenda for a long time. That doesn't mean you should support it. Trump said once, Americanism, not globalism will be our credo. Not going to war with Iran for neocons. And in 2012, Trump tweeted the following: "Don't let Obama play the Iran card in order to start a war in order to get elected. Be careful, Republicans." Oh, now it's election cycle again. And that's exactly what Donald is doing. But Donald Trump was never convinced before that we needed to go to war with Iran. He wasn't convinced Iran was a credible threat to America. Now, after this false flag, he is. And this is what the media wants, and you'll find a very odd moment where the media starts supporting Trump's agenda if he goes along with it. Because they are the military-industrial complex. They're there to keep the money rolling. They're there to keep the bombs blowing up. They are there to keep the war without end going. That's why no amount of promises from Kamala Harris or other candidates can end the war without end. Because you can't end a war without end. That's out of your control. And that's bigger than you are. And let's be clear. The deep state is bigger than Trump is. Trump thinks he has power, but he's actually completely powerless. Obama is the real power. He's the shadow president. He goes around the world working for the deep state, working for the, undercover shadow government machinations and departments which are turned over completely to evil. The Obama stay-behind networks that were left after he, he supposedly left, but he didn't even leave. These stay-behind networks should have been purged from day one, but Trump was quite naive, and he trusted the deep state that has then systematically worked to take him down every day, working with the mainstream media, lying about Russian collusion, and he just naively allowed it. Or just like he's allowed social media censorship of conservatives. And it's not even just that it's conservatives or that there's bias, it's that they shouldn't be doing this kind of censorship in America in the first place, where it's illegal because it violates the First Amendment. And Tim Pool can be forced by YouTube to delete a video about how Project Veritas was banned for exposing interest, or Pinterest or whatever, censorship. Yeah, Pinterest censorship, so he's banned from Twitter for exposing a video on YouTube. All these companies are supposed to be separate companies, but they all work together, they all collude, they are all one company working for one global government. It's no longer a conspiracy theory. It's long since the word deep state was outed into the mainstream media, and now we know that there's a deep state. We genuinely know there's no system of democracy. In fact, we know that there's activist judges that can just be activated for no reason to scupper the will of the people and the democratic vote. And anything that Trump decides to pass, they can just completely block all public legislation. These private cabals can block democratic public legislation. So, as I said before, Trump really doesn't have any power. He has no power next to the deep state, and he's only got the power that he's got because he cooperates with the deep state to a certain extent, particularly on foreign policy. And let's not forget the Project for a New American Century came up with a list of countries, and Iran was the last one that they listed. It was Syria, Iraq, Libya. Ukraine wasn't on the list, but that got invaded as well. The globalists have had this geostrategic plan for a long time to make the world run by a new American century. That's what Project for a New American Century was. These neocons, which are not conservatives, which are not interested in elevating America's economy, they're interested in flattening it. And they're interested in social control because they're basically allied with the communists and communist China. And Apple is basically an extension of communist China, Chinese power. And Huawei and all the 5G and all the rest of it. Forget all the, electromagnetic frequency radiation danger, etc. Just the fact that they can spy on everyone, that everyone that has a Huawei phone is actually a criminal in the West, but it's not been officially declared yet. We're just giving everything willingly to China to, help us in a future war in future, because there's going to be a world war very soon. It seems to be so many flashpoints where it could spark from, where it could start a world war. The South China Sea, you've got the Russian aggression along the border with Poland and Ukraine. Ukraine. The tanker false flag in the Gulf of Oman. The entire world being locked down so that no one can say anything on social media anymore. The entire internet being locked down and Wikipedia becoming a propaganda conduit and nothing else, posing as an encyclopedia. If a world war starts now and a civil war at the same time, we can't say anything about it because we're completely locked down. That's the problem with censorship, and the censorship has been there to lock us down, while the mainstream media agitates us for war with Russia by lying about things that Russia are doing. For example, it said that World War II the Nazis were defeated by the Europeans, not the Russians. So the mainstream media is rewriting history to try and frame us into a war with Russia. They also said that Russians have defective DNA and that they can't be trusted. Yeah, that seems not racist. And Russia is the globalist scapegoat. Whenever they're caught with their hand in the cookie jar, when the globalists are caught and lose power, lose their hegemony, lose their monopoly, they have to blame Russia because they can't acknowledge their own existence. And we know that all this stuff in the Gulf of Oman with Iran is happening because of a secret meeting last week in Bilderberg with Jared Kushner, Mike Pompeo. They were both pictured walking off with Henry Kissinger, going to a secret meeting to discuss Iran that wasn't declared on the manifest. Interesting.